Wrestling has one royal podcast, and that is Boom Broadcasting. We want to welcome everybody to WoD right here on Saturday, whether it is Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, whether you're watching this before you're watching the SummerSlam pre-show or you're watching me during the SummerSlam pre-show. We want to thank you for tuning in to Boom Broadcasting right here on our YouTube channel. So much to talk about. Won't really get into the shows this week because we got SummerSlam if it's morning time, a few more hours. If it's 5 o'clock, 2 more hours. And of course, if it's 6, 1 more hour. So much to talk about with SummerSlam. But before we jump on the SummerSlam train, there's a photo floating around. And if you tuned into the nightcap this Wednesday with Mouthing Off with Mike, my good brother, and my other good brother, podcast Smitty, you will see we talked about it. But I want to talk about it maybe for just 5 more minutes, and then we'll jump right into the SummerSlam breakdown and also give you some other streams you can go back and watch to get some more predictions for SummerSlam. This photo set the internet on fire because it's been a long time since two people are in the same room. And if you think about when Vince McMahon monopolized wrestling, of course, Vince McMahon just got the WWF from his dad, balloon sale, told his dad he'll pay him back by a certain day, made that commitment. As it continued to grow up there in the New York, New England area, Vince came up with the great idea of monopolizing wrestling. If I can go to the territories, GCW, NWA, Florida Championship Wrestling, out there in Hawaii with the Ross family, Liv Mavia's wrestling, PCW, PWL, one of them. If I can go and monopolize Minneapolis, the wrestling up there, if I can go and monopolize all the wrestling, get their time slots, put my product on their time slots on their cable syndicated network to make me the global mega power, I could win. And that's what Vince did. Everybody knows Black Saturday. I remember hearing all my older family members telling me when they turned on GCW on that Saturday afternoon, didn't hear Gordon Sully, saw Vince McMahon, and then saw pre-tape house show matches with people they had never heard of. They were looking for that Gordon Sully. They were looking for the wrestlers they knew, the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express. They were looking for the Von Erichs, looking for the Freebirds. That's what they were looking for, Ric Flair. But they got what Vince gave them. And if you think about it, Vince was smart. Vince was smart. Yes, Vinnie Mac was smart. And I hope we don't get canceled for talking about Vinnie Mac on the show. But he was smart because he pushed all the chips in and said, if I take over all the territories, monopolize wrestling, make it where everybody has to watch my show on different time slots, see my guys, I'll win. And he ended up winning. Of course, we know what he did. Bought all the time slots, bought all the promotions, all the territories, took their top guys. And for a lot of people, the territory system was so good. That's why you see the 10 pounds of gold above me, because that belt just represents what I grew up watching in the territories. The territory system was so good because we didn't have social media. We didn't have internet. All we had was PWI, wrestling magazines, wrestling newsletters that we could read. So we could get WCW, well, NWA before WCW, Jim Crockett. We could get that over in the Carolinas. We could get maybe GCW if we moved that antenna the right way. If Unc went out there and we had that tall antenna over the house that he could just start turning a different way, you could pull in GCW. But we didn't know what was going on there in Liv Mavill. Try to say that 3 times fast. Liv Mavill and PCW over there in Hawaii. We didn't know what was going on until we read the magazine. We didn't know what was going on down there with the Von Erichs. We didn't know what was going on in the AWA up there in Minnesota. We knew what was going on in the WWF because Vince was already on USA, but we were still getting the local stuff. So that's what made the territory system so good. Because Flair could wrestle over here in the Carolinas and be the most hated champ, NWA champ. But then he could go over to Texas and be over like Rover in Texas. And you didn't know till you read the article. Flair could go to Texas and fight the Von Erichs. The Von Erichs, if you think of Texas, that was the Von Erichs territory. The Von Erichs could come to the Carolinas. That's what the territories were all about. Trading heels, trading good guys. Harley Race could go over to Texas. He could go out to Limaville. Ric Flair when he did a show out there. One of the biggest sellout shows that she had was on that one. That's when The Rock was a young kid on that show. You had that in the territories. Vince took away that and monopolized all of wrestling. But now you're starting to see a territorial system come back into play. And I was saying on Mouth Off Mike and podcast meeting, we were talking after we went off the air on the nightcap. We were talking about how we had that bad period of wrestling. And everybody was saying, it was just bad. The product Vince was putting out there was just horrible. TNA was kind of going into limbo of, we had TNA one time when Bully Ray and them Aces and Eights was there. That's when TNA was hot. I was back on TNA. AJ Styles was back on TNA. But even during that area, TNA was falling off. And I remember telling Mike and Podcast Smitty, during that era, I was mad at Vince, but I thank Vinnie Mac for having a bad product on TV. Because I did just like Cody. When Cody walked out the door, I walked out the door with him and said, you know what? I'm going to the Indies. I'm going to the Indies looking for something. I found New Japan. I found Ring of Honor. I found the Young Bucks. I found Kenny Omega. I found, I knew AJ was already over there in New Japan. I found Bad Luck Fale, Tama Tonga Low, the GOD, before Tonga Low was even in New Japan. I was like, Tama Tonga's killing it. I found Finn Balor, who was Prince Devitt back then. Carl Anderson, the Machine Gun. Gallows, who a guy that was in WWE, then I said, man, this guy should be opening up main event. I turned on to New Japan. Him and Carl Anderson were dominating tag matches, having 5-star tag matches in New Japan. I found about the Tokyo Pimp, my favorite guy from Bullet Club, the Tokyo Pimp. Who could not like the Tokyo Pimp in Bullet Club? I found about Hangman Adam Page, Juice Robinson, all of these guys, Chase Owens, all of these guys I found. And I know majority of them Bullet Club guys, but that's what I found. Then I went over to Ring of Honor. I found Dalton Castle and the boys. I found all these people that I was overlooking because I was stuck watching the WWE product so long because that's all I knew. Now, I did support the indies. I just supported the indies in my local area, the mom and pop shows. And, I shout out, I love the mom and pop shows. Had a chance to interview, meet Kiara Hogan, Kiara Fire on AEW now. Had got a picture with her. If you go on my Gmail, you always see that picture. Means so much to me. She stopped through a little small town in North Carolina and spent 5 to 10 minutes letting me do an interview with her and just talking with her. Always will salute her for that because she could have said, hey, and she told me that night, can you hold that interview till I get to TNA? I just signed a contract. She could have said, hey, man, buzz off. Get off, man. I'm signed to TNA. I don't have to do this. But, hey, she did that for me, and I appreciate that. But that's what I was doing. I went to the indies, and I found what I was looking. And Podcast Smitty made a great comment after we went off the nightcap. Now, I got to throw that out there. Got to throw it out there. Because me and Mike were talking about, how we went to the indies. He said, do you remember when BTE was dropping? And I said, yeah. I said, they were dropping their show at the same time Raw was dropping. And you had more people tuned into YouTube to watch BT being the elite on YouTube than you had watching Raw. That's how monumental the indies were at that time. Because on BT, you never know who's going to show up. One of the best episodes where they had Slick up there. I'm like, these guys got Slick up here. Like, how do you go find Slick to get him on BTE? So that's where we were at that point. And as things changed, things started shifting. Of course, we know Vinnie Mac he's still going through some dark days, some dark clouds over him. He finally decided to step down. He finally decided to give up the chair, give up creative control, and gave to Triple H. And that's been a great move. Because with Triple H, we have been getting better wrestling. And as I said on the nightcap, Triple H is a fan of the territories. Make no doubt about it. He loves the territories. He talked about it in his book. You know, he learned from the best, Ric Flair. Who, when you think of the territories, who was Mr. Territory himself? Ric Flair, the Nature Boy. Triple H loved it. And I'm getting ready to get into the AEW thing, but I'm kind of I'm baking the cake right now before I put the icing on it. But you're seeing this partnership because you saw it with New Japan and Ring of Honor, and it was working great. You saw it with New Japan and AEW. It was working great. You saw it with TNA AEW, and I really thought that WWE was going to get put behind and left behind water break. I really thought they were going to get left behind because the other outside promotions were doing it. But if you go back to that Royal Rumble, and it was the first one that Triple H, Vince kind of had control, but he was fading and fizzling out. Triple H did that Royal Rumble women's match. Mickie James shows up, a former WWE superstar, shows up as the TNA Women's Knockout Champ. And I told myself the night watching that Royal Rumble, I said, we will never see that again. Only reason we got it, she's a former WWE. She's a first ballot WWE Hall of Famer. They're going to induct her in the Hall of Fame. It was a one-off. It was something to give some nostalgia, something for us to be able to talk about for the next 10 to 20 years. The night that Mickie James showed up with the TNA Women's World Knockout Championship on the WWE Premium Live event. But then guess what? We got it again. We got it again. And now we have this partnership with TNA and WWE. And TNA is kind of flirted with AEW. Like I said, they were doing stuff with AEW when you had Kenny Omega win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship under the Don Callis family, and he was appearing on both shows. You had Carl Anderson and Gallows appearing on both shows when they left WWE and went to AEW. Well, when the TNA was bouncing back and forth. So, you see this partnership, and you see that this territorial thing is growing. So now, you take the only McMahon who would do this. Stephanie wouldn't do it. Linda, she's out of the wrestling business. She don't have nothing to do with it. Vince, and I mean, you know, if you're Vinnie Mac, you're thinking, if there's a chance I get through all of these allegations that's been brought up against me, and we won't speak on that, you know, that's not what the show's about. But we're just fantasy booking. We're just fantasy booking. Views and opinions does not reflect the views and opinions of Broom Broadcasting. Disclaimer right now. But if you're Vince McMahon, if you're Vinnie Mac, and you feel like, if I get through this little allocation of all this stuff on me and I make it out, if Shane is able to lock a deal in with Tony Khan, you don't think Vince McMahon would run to AEW just to get back at Stephanie and Triple H? You don't think that night on Triple H's first ever WrestleMania, when Stephanie Man says, this is the first WrestleMania that my husband, Triple H, Paul Levesque, is put together, this is his, pretty much saying that, Dad, it's over, this is ours. If you don't think that he would find a way to get it, I mean, even if he's not going to be backstage working, they're not going to have a bad there. They're not going to have this man better. But he would find a way financially to put his money into AEW. It would happen. And it's something, and you know, it goes back to what Shayna said on the nightcap. This conversation can go one of two ways. It can go and we're done with it. No more talk, it's over. Or, like Podcast Smitty said, it can lead to another conversation and another meeting and another conversation, another meeting. But I find it hard for the first ever meeting of Shane McMahon and Tony Khan that they were in a private office talking about the good old days of wrestling, talking about the Attitude Era. And you know, Tony Khan's a big fan of wrestling, talking about the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression area, the Golden area, the Territory days, the era we're in now, the rise of AEW, how AEW got started up there at All In Chicago where they sold it out in the Sears Center. I find it rather, if they had that conversation, that was the opening conversation as they said, "Hi, my name's Shawn. My name's Shannon. Lord, my name is Shane McMahon. Hi, my name's Tony Khan." I don't think if they had that conversation, it was after that. And then it was business. Let's talk. What can I do? How can I help? What do you want to know about the business? That's what we got into. This will be good because, and I said it, both companies have big egos at the top of the head, big ego stars. But if this can be done, it would open up a door where the territories are back. And Derek, my man from Derek's Wrestling Tour, said on the nightcap when I was talking about that the territories, I told everybody. And it was funny because I was telling one of my guys at work that day on when we were talking about it. I told him the territory days are coming back. They're right around the corner. I lived through some of the end of the territory days. I know how it was. I watched a lot of tape on the territory days. I watched Smoky Mountain Wrestling when Jim Cornette tried to get a small territory back going. They're coming back. And with them coming back, you can see it because guys now are shopping people around. TNA guys appearing on NXT. TNA guys appearing on WWE. WWE and NXT people appearing on TNA. New Japan, AEW, sharing talent back and forth. Guys, CMLL on AEW. It's coming back, and it's going to be good. But if you're Shane and Tony Khan, you definitely want to go ahead and start working towards this because you want to get in the game. And what bigger way to get Shane McMahon on your side? Now you got Shane and you got Jericho. Two people who can get to Triple H and say, what can we do to make this happen? How can the AEW champ show up at Royal Rumble? How can Cody Rhodes, the world undisputed heavyweight champ, show up on AEW tonight? How can we make it happen? I feel like it's not going to happen right now. It's not lightning in a bottle. But it definitely will be happening in the near future. And I think we're going to see some more pictures, some more conversation as we get into it. Now, let's jump into the SummerSlam card right here on WoD. So many matches, not going to break them all the way down, but we're going to pick some winners. Don't forget, if you have not went and watched Mount Out with Mike's predictions and Drop the Mic with Mike D's predictions, please tune in to those shows to watch. Let's jump into it. First match, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. We're going to get the best out of three out of this match. It's in Cleveland. I'm going to go Drew gets the first win. We're going to get the best out of three. Drew will get this one. Next match, Logan Paul versus LA Knight. It's time. They have been holding LA Knight back for too long. It's time. LA Knight wins the U.S. title, and I want to see him bring back that open challenge. Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker. This is one that I thought would have happened at the last pay-per-view, Money in the Bank. It did not happen. So it's going to happen at SummerSlam. Braun Breaker will walk out as the new Intercontinental Champion and beat Sami Zayn. Damian Priest, El Champion, versus the Ring General Gter, World Heavyweight Championship. This one right here will probably be the wild card match. Because you got to ask yourself, do you want to get behind Damian Priest and make him the guy? And to make him the guy, he's beat Seth, he's beat McIntyre. He needs one more big win. And do you want Gunther's third loss to be the Damian Priest, the champ? Or do you want to restore order on Monday Night Raw? Do you want to restore that title to make it mean something? Is Priest a transitional champ? This is an easy pick for me. It's not hard. Gunther always says, That match is sacred. And the reason why that match is sacred is because a guy like Gter, you just can take seriously. Gter will win this title. Gter over Priest. Good run for Priest. Nothing to hang your hat on. Guys had a great run, great championship run. He got rewarded because I told everybody. Priest deserved to be rewarded because every house show I went to over the past 2 years, Priest was working those main events. And I really think what made them put eyes on Priest even harder is when you go back to Panama when they did the show there with Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny showed that he can wrestle, he can take it seriously. But Priest had to take that L and put over Bad Bunny. This was Priest's reward for all the things he's done, putting over Bad Bunny, working those main events on those house shows, still working those main events, those dark matches on Raw and SmackDown. Priest has been the guy. This is the reward, but it comes to an end. Gter wins the title. Next one, Bayley versus Nia Jax, WWE Women's Championship. I really want Bayley to win. I'm a Bayley guy. I like Bayley so much. Quick story about Bayley and Mercedes Moné. Now, shout out to Mercedes Moné's podcast on YouTube now. Go check it out if you haven't. I was in Virginia, and both of them were getting ready to go. Fans were trying to get their attention. You know, both of them were tired. They had just worked a match. Both of them were tired. They looked tired. They looked like they were, like, beat. A lot of people started booing because they got in the car. They wouldn't wave. They wouldn't talk like, you know, and a lot of people got to understand, when you go in the back of the parking lot where the WWE stars come out or the AEW stars come out, majority of them were just got finished working, had something to eat, took a shower, on to the hotel to lay it down and get to the next town. A lot of fans was out there just booing like Bayley, and well, that's what she was, Sasha. Sasha Mercedes Moné, you're not going to speak. One thing I can say about them, I was standing at the window, and I was standing by the stop sign, getting ready to walk back over to the hotel. And the red light, Bayley was hoping that light did not turn red because she did not want to get caught in that light. Everybody was still trying to get their attention. Mercedes Moné was on the passenger side. All I did was just look at them and wave and say, thank you for a great show tonight. She rolled down the window and said, thank you for having no consideration to respect me and Bayley, knowing that we had a rough night and that we were just ready to get to the hotel and not want to bother us, wanting to take a picture and get autographs. I said, no, Jay, thank you guys for entertaining me tonight. I paid money to watch y'all entertain me. You did a darn good job. Thank you. Light turned green, they drove off. So that's my story right there. And a lot of people, I really respected Mercedes Moné and Bayley even more after that moment that made me like them. But I got to make a pick with this match. Much as I want to pick Bayley, Queen Nia is going to win this one. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, Women's World Championship. If you watch Drop the Mic, I already made this pick, so definitely jump back and watch that. But I will make it right here on WoD this Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, or Saturday evening, whenever you tuned in. If you want to get Rhea over more, Dom has to cost Rhea this match. Dom has to interfere. Because if Dom helps Rhea win, Rhea goes over as a face, and regardless or not, you got to cheer the guy now. WWE does not want to see Dom as a face. Dom has to be a heel. Dom has to have heat. That's why we like Dom so much, because we hate Dom so much. That's why we like him. Dom costs Rhea the championship. Liv Morgan retains. Not only does she retain, Finn, JD, and Carlito side with Liv, and that becomes the new Judgment Day with Dom, with Finn as the leader. Because, you know, if you go back and look at it, Finn and Priest have kind of been bickering over the past 3 months, and it's been small stuff. And WWE's done good without having them do it every week. Every 2-3 weeks, you will see a little hot, tense moment. This leads up to all of that. Liv wins. Liv takes over Judgment Day. Her and Finn, Dom, JD, and Carlito. Now to the main event. Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. Undisputed WWE Championship. I do not think they're ready for Cody's reign to come to an end. If it was ever a time to do it, now would be perfect. Jacob Fatu and Tonga Low just won the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championships on Friday night. and you could carry that over, have Solo win, Solo versus Roman, but I don't think that's what they're adding up to. I think they're building the Civil War match. We talked about it several times. Bloodline 2.0 is what I call Solo them versus the original Bloodline. Jay, Jimmy, Roman, Sammy in that one. Cody will be the fifth guy because they probably will do the Survivor Series. Cody will be the fifth guy. The Tonga's other brother will be their fifth guy. And you can have them, Cody and Roman and Bloodline 1.0, win at Survivor Series, but then guess what you can do? As soon as that match is over with, Roman turns on Cody. Mania, here we go. Rebook it. Royal Rumble, book it. Roman can beat him for the title. And then you can have Roman drop the title Solo on the road to WrestleMania. Have Cody come back and win that Mania against Solo. That's what you can do because when Roman comes back, he's not going to be a full-time guy. We already know that. He wasn't a full-time guy as a champ. He worked only the big shows, only the big pay-per-views. That's what's going to happen. Cody over at SummerSlam. Roman turns on Cody at Survivor Series. Roman wins it somewhere at Royal Rumble, some big pay-per-view, drops it to Solo. Cody gets it back for Solo. Or could drop it to Jacob Fatu. Keep saying Jacob Fatu is going to overjump Solo. Won't be surprised if Jacob Fatu wins the title before Solo wins the heavyweight championship. He's just got so much in him, so much potential right now, especially as a tag champ. So those are my picks right there. McIntyre over Punk. LA Knight over Logan Paul. Braun Breaker over Sami Zayn. Gter over Priest. Nia Jax over Bayley. Liv over Rhea. And Cody over Solo. Want to thank everybody for tuning in to WoD SummerSlam Edition right here on Boom Broadcasting. Don't forget, if you have not heard the picks from my good friend, my good brother, Bound Off with Mike, jump over to his YouTube channel. Check out his prediction for SummerSlam. If you have not heard the picks from the president himself, Michael D., jump back over to Boom Broadcasting to drop the mic. You can hear his predictions and everybody else's predictions that were on the show that day right here on Boom Broadcasting. Don't forget tonight, as soon as SummerSlam goes off, come right back to Boom Broadcasting. Mouthing Off with Mike will have a panel of guests tonight, and they will be breaking down SummerSlam. You don't know who's going to drop in. The president could drop in. I may could drop in. Owen could drop in. Podcast Smitty could drop in. The guys from Forsyth Marines could drop in. Booking Like a Mark could drop in. Anybody and everybody can drop in on the nightcap. And I got a name for this nightcap. It is called the Mega Super SummerSlam Nightcap Edition right here tonight on Boom Broadcasting. So definitely when SummerSlam goes off, don't go to sleep. Don't turn off the TV. Don't turn off your tablet smart device. Jump on Boom Broadcasting for the Super Mega SummerSlam Edition of the Nightcap right here on Boom Broadcasting. This is Shawn for WoD. I'm signing off. I'll see you next week. Right back here on Boom Broadcasting, getting you ready through your weekend as we get ready for another great week of wrestling. And as always, before we sign off, what's our favorite word? Support indie wrestling. No matter where it's at, go and support it.